Welcome back, everyone. Today we're talking about cultivating your small property. Most people like us have a small property to start with. We're on a 1/4 acre here, just shy of a 1/4 acre, and we're able to accomplish quite a bit and still have some yard space for our kids to run and play. So we want to talk about high intensity planting into compost, and why compact planting and high intensity planting can save you when those colder times roll through. Like right now, we're about to get a nasty storm here. Temperatures have been dropping, fluctuating like crazy. All across the country, we've been having cold temperatures, colder than normal temperatures for the middle of July. So there's just a few things I want to talk about and go over that have to do with high intensity planting and also planting into compost, not even fully cooked compost. So there's just a few things I want to talk about as the rain's starting to fall here. Hopefully I get a few minutes to talk before it drowns me out. So we're sitting over here right behind me. I have cherry tomatoes, I've got our beans, I've got our sunflowers, and I've got all of our zucchini and vining layers that grow underneath it. We've got a small polyculture in our plants here, and that's just 1 square foot of our property. So we've taken our 50-foot fence line here and we have created a nice living wall. So this experiment of planting with our hot compost has worked well because all of these plants got a very early start to life. Most of the people in our area, zone 4B here, are not having any sunflower heads, they're not having any zucchini yet. So as I was saying, I've planted all of this into compost, and it is just a massive living wall here. There is about 20 to 30 varieties of different plants. Not all of them took over. Certain varieties obviously took over. You can see this big, large sunflower here. We've got tons and tons of vines growing right up it. We're gonna have tons of beans. We've got pickling cucumbers, regular cucumbers, you name it. We put it out here just as an experiment to see what would happen. And for the most part, like I thought, all of our zucchini pretty much took over, and they are massive. These zucchini are massive. We're getting harvests left and right, and we are able to sell tons of product out of this. And we do not have zucchini down at our 3-acre property yet. And that is wide open. We had plenty of space to separate everything out and plant it well. But this was nice and compact and dense, which held heat for us by reducing wind flow and keeping everything nice and close. So when it did warm up, that residual heat would stay with our compost pile and stay overnight to keep those roots a little bit warmer than out in the center of our yard here. So this experiment was kind of cool, and I learned quite a bit from it, and I'm definitely going to be continuing this method of planting, because why not grow everything together when you can? We even have some corn growing behind me to block our rental building, which we use to make money off of also. So we've got our whole yard blocked in, and all of it is food. There is not much that we can't eat that is growing on this wall other than some weeds. So when we're talking about high intensity planting, it does not have to be any specific plant. You can plant 100 different varieties, see what 10 varieties take off first and take over, and you can either thin them out to produce the kind of bed you want, or you can just let it go wild. So we basically just have a giant polyculture that is living, growing, breathing, and producing money, producing food. This is how we are making money off our homestead. Now we have this small greenhouse, and we have this 1/4 acre property, and you can see we have plenty of room. I'm gonna take a walk over to take a look at our garden here. This bed was completely created out of leaves. We put all of our old leaves down here, threw compost on top. So when we created this bed, my wife wanted to use it just for flowers, so we could do cut flowers. But I got the idea to just completely oversow it. The only thing that's really got some space is our black magic kale here. Everything else, we've got all our cucumbers growing up the vine. We've got beans and tomatoes growing up this fence trellis here. We've got all of our pineapple tomatillos down on this front row, and tomatoes right behind it. We've got all of our marigolds planted down in the middle to deter all of our pests. We've got tons and tons going on, and you can see everything's doing well. It's all healthy, and they are so close together. But the trick is to plant them into compost or something similar. To have the proper soil is the most key essential building block for starting any type of garden. We are getting a little bit of lightning out here, but I want to continue on. We've got butternut squash, we've got tons of beans, we've got some peppers, we've got tons of tomatoes, we got more beans, we got corn, we got pumpkins. We have all of our market veggies that we grow right here and constantly rotate up to about this point where we have just a massive corn wall, and we've got all our cucumbers growing right in the middle, and we've got radishes undersown in here, we've got carrots undersown in here. So we like to take the most natural approach to planting our garden and maintaining it as possible. Now, when we do have high intensity planting, I just harvested this one row and we put 2 rows back in its place of radishes, because radishes grow in about 28 days for us to full size. We can sell them, get good money for them at the market here. Here we come up on another little polyculture. So I've got all these pineapple tomatillos. We've got some beans up in there. We've got tons of parsley coming up. We've got a few cucumbers. Our cucumbers and our tomatoes have been competing because we did not have such a massive pile of compost. We planted into a nice little hedge of compost, but the tomatoes are taking over, and I noticed that they're dominating the roots of the cucumbers. So the cucumbers are getting smothered out, not up at the vegetative level, but down at the root level. So the tomatoes are overtaking your cucumbers. So we will not plant those together again. Got this little structure. It was just cheap, bunch of free scrap wire. So I put a bunch of zucchini in here, and I have a bunch of beans coming up. We got purple beans on one side, green beans on the next side, and they will all meet in the middle, and we'll have beans hanging down. We've got some Swiss chard planted up in here. We've got tons of life in here. There's our chickens. I just wanted to kind of give a grasp of how we're doing things and how this polyculture and like micro planting came about and why we're planting so densely. And see, I don't even always plant so densely. This is just volunteer tomatoes from last season. I put a fence up, I put some cages up, letting them do their thing. All right, it's storming on me pretty bad here. I'm gonna head into the greenhouse for some shelter. So as the rain's starting to fall here, I wish I would have had more time to get out and show a little bit more of our polycultures and the small little things that we have going on that all cumulatively create a large, overwhelming garden. Everybody who comes over is amazed by what we got going on, and most of it didn't require much work at all other than the propagation of the new plants. We had a lot of volunteer plants, a lot of things come back. We just take the most natural approach to gardening. So I hope this information and this experiment we did with that 50-foot row of compost, and it was about 2 feet thick. We dug a little trench and hilled it in. So we planted right into our warm compost and threw some straw right on top just to kind of insulate it. And we had snow on top of it, and our sprouts came right up. Like I said, we have the first sunflowers, we've got the first zucchini that aren't shipped in from another state and sold. So we have all of the first stuff, and there's something to that, and I can really capitalize on that. I can do it bigger and I can do it better. And next year, down at our 3-acre property, we will have the early start on everything. We're gonna try and get the jump on it, and I'm gonna have my greenhouse built up, and hopefully we'll have the first of everything, and hopefully make the most money at our market, because we're getting reoccurring customers and people are liking what we're doing and they're liking our vibe. So we're getting out there and people are liking our stuff. It feels very, very good to actually find some success in what we're doing. So I hope everybody can find some use out of all this information I've been sharing on here. And if anybody has any questions on what we did and what I showed in this video, feel free to ask, because I'm always right there to answer your questions. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching.